Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Spooky Japan Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Bill. How you doing, Bill?
All right, how you doing? Thanks for
We're
having me
doing
on.
pretty. We've been excited to have you on. I've had people after we announced that you're coming on reach out and say that you inspired them to join the paranormal. So
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's great.
yeah. So people were excited. They're just like, he's one of my inspirations. Get me in, and I'm just like, that's an
That's
honor. That'd be something that's goals for me to do one day is someone to be like, I joined the paranormal because you inspired me. Which I don't
no,
know
that's
may or may not be a good thing. I guess depends on how you look at it
right.
nowadays.
No, that's great to hear. I mean, and that's one of the things I like to do. We go and when I'm lecturing and educating and stuff, and it's about that. I want to teach people, and I don't want to push them away from this. I want to teach them the right way and teach them what to do, and that's good to hear. It is nice to hear.
But yeah. So for anyone out there who is maybe is not familiar with who you are, how would you introduce yourself?
So, um, I have been a paranormal investigator, researcher, educator for 35 years now. I am a parapsychologist. I have a Ph.D. in parapsychology and metaphysical humanistic science. I am a demonologist, and I have, I go around, and we are known a lot with my team. We are known a lot for residential work. Um, we do public things, and I have been on TV and everywhere, but it's more about helping people,
Hmm.
and that's a lot of what we do. My team is the Paranormal Existence Research Society. We're based out of I'm in Coral Springs, Florida, but I have team members all throughout Florida, Georgia, Nebraska, UK, Italy, and Greece. And I'm also the regional director for the Southeast US and part of the management team that runs the Warren Legacy Foundation. And that's another, great organization. We have probably over 100 people, worldwide that carry on the legacy of Ed and Lorraine Warren of helping, people for free. My team
Hmm.
is also a nonprofit. We don't charge ever for anything. We do this all volunteers. I have about, I think, like 20 something people on my team now. So, I also go around and educate. So, like, I'm brought into, that's my wife. I'm brought into conventions and libraries and schools and stuff all over the place to, lecture. And we try to teach people. We like to entertain them and have fun and whatever, but we also like to educate them on what's real, you know.
I'm glad you do that because there's a lot of people out there who's like
Yeah.
not.
And the thing with me is I've also been in I'm very versed in many different areas. Like, we are not the type of team that comes running in and thinks everything's a demon and everything is definitely a ghost and hauntings and whatever. I've been in the yeah, I've been in the technology field for about 33 years,
He's so
and
proud.
I know a lot about equipment and CCTVs. I'm also an IT director in a psychiatric drug and alcohol treatment facility, so I know a lot about psychiatric illness, about addiction, which is a lot of what we deal with at times with
Hmm.
residential cases. So my team is well versed in many things. I have every type of person on my team you can imagine. So it comes in real handy when we go and do cases.
I should have warned you. Sometimes Irene comes in and out because of the spirit, so that's why.
Okay.
Because people, she
I
does
was
that, and I
saying
just keep on continuing. To people like, you don't
that's
want
why
to check
we were
her,
laughing. That's why I was
and I'm like,
laughing.
no, we're used to it. So she'll be back, and then she pops back up. Like, see, I told you. They just
I
kick her
have
off. She comes back on. She has to tell them off.
I
Yeah.
have windows like portals where I do my sessions, and sometimes they don't want me talking about certain things, or as soon as some you talk about certain subjects, they
Right.
kick me out because they don't want me knowing what you do, and they're probably watching you, so they're
Hmm.
trying to stop me from telling you things that you don't know.
Yeah, we've had that. We've actually had stuff like that happen a lot on on cases we're doing, like at the initial interviews on Zoom and everything. We've had things knock us off, knock stuff off, knock our recordings off, just about everything you could think of.
Can I ask you one weird question? Are you on a case now?
Am I what?
Are you on a particular case now?
You don't have to mention
Um,
names.
yeah, I was actually on a case last night.
Mm-hmm. That's why. Okay.
Wasn't a bad
People.
case. Wasn't a bad case.
No, but it doesn't matter. It just, yeah. If you're on a case, it'll tell me, and that's why I get knocked out.
Well, literally last night.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking you, are you on a case? Because something smells fishy here. Not really what. Okay, I get it. That's why. I can feel it right through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, go on.
So you mentioned something about you used to go by demonology specialist, and now you're a demonologist, and something you're proud of. So something you can explain a little bit further to everyone out there how you went from the specialist to the actual demonologist.
Yeah, so it's funny. So I've been studying demonology probably 30 years or so. Um, I To me it was more like a calling. I started this, and we could go into that how that all started later. Um, but I'm called in to assess cases. I've been doing that for many, many years, and I technically do what a demonologist does. I never use the title because just for me personally, I respect the title. And
Hmm.
for me, the title was somebody who was in the clergy or somebody who was given the title or recognized through the clergy.
Mm-hmm.
So I always said until that ever happened to me, I'm not going to use the title. I'm just going to say demonology specialist, even though it's the same exact thing. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I've been doing for 30 years. But I recently had somebody recognize me through their affiliation. Father Ken Torres, actually.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna about to say I saw that letter. He's supposed to be on our
yes.
show later this month too. So
Oh, okay. Yeah. So they recognize me. So now I'll use the title because I was recognized with it, and it's not it to me. It doesn't mean any really difference. It just now I don't have to explain what demonology specialist means. So it's easier because I used to say that, and some people would put demonology expert when I did stuff, and that caused a whole riff at times. People don't like the
Mm-hmm.
word expert, and it wasn't my doing. People just used it, and thought it was okay to use. And some people just get a little bent out of shape about titles and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
how much training or education did you have to go through to get that title?
Hmm. Well, I started um, a long, long time ago, studying everything with demonology, and it all started back when I went on my first residential case in 1989, which turned out to be a rare demonic case where I had the actual person next to me get full on attacked, and when I left there, especially being my first case, I didn't get scared by it. No, I take that back. I was definitely scared by that, but I mean, I didn't run from this. Some people would have never done this again. It made me that's why I say I feel like it was more of a calling because it made me really go in and research it. And I spent many, many years just researching and reading everything I could find, studying everything I could find, getting people to allow me onto cases and teach me a little bit. And then I started being pulled in to assess cases. And, I learned a lot like that. But it's not something honestly that you go on and take a 5-hour course online and you're a demonologist. You will get yourself in a lot of trouble. Those courses, I mean, I tell everybody this. Every book you can find, every course you can take, there's always something in it that you're going to learn from. Even if that course is a scam, there's probably something in there that you can learn from. But when you take courses like demonology courses from people that are charging, $20 and they're a 2-hour course and things like that, it if you get a certificate saying you took the course, that's fine. But if you get some kind of thing saying that you're a demonologist or now you're a specialist or you're a licensed this or a registered this. Those things aren't real. The course may be real, but it's not anything that's going to give you that kind of title. A demonologist title isn't just. There's a lot of people out there that throw the title around, and that's why I never did. Some people just label themselves as demonologists, because they read a
Yeah,
book.
that's why I wanted to bring that up, because I know a lot of
Yeah.
people just kind of wake up and they're like, "I'm a demonologist. I
Hmm.
also read a book. I'm a demonologist. I took that online course. I took one course. It says I'm a demonologist. I'm a demonologist."
Uh,
And I mean, I do study basic demonology just for my knowledge, just because you never know what you're going to run into in a paranormal, especially
Right.
here in Japan, as Irene and I can tell you that if you needed or wanted help in the paranormal, we're the only two people you can that can help you here. There's no
Right.
one else out there in the paranormal
Hmm.
because it's a taboo thing here in Japan.
Yeah.
But that's
Oh,
also why
okay.
we can't put podcast Spooky Japan podcasts and investigations because we can't, especially because it's such a taboo thing here that even if we investigate out here, we can't show that because it's already hard for them to reach out for help.
Right.
We're not gonna try and make it public because they're gonna be like, nah, I'd rather deal with this thing than have you try and film us and put our business out there.
Well, that's what it was like when I started. I mean, if you go back, you know, 35 years, I was
Thank you.
definitely I was definitely um, experiencing things even before that. But I say 35 years because I say 35 years actively investigating. That's when I started it
Mm.
actually investigating. Um, but you go back to, the early 80s, late 70s even, there's no way you can talk about this and it be accepted like it is now. You know, it was very, like you're saying, very not so much taboo, but if you said you were a paranormal investigator or, somebody thought they were haunted, you were going to get locked up into the mental facility, back
That's
then.
Yeah.
still like that here.
It's still
That's
like
how
that
it
here.
was then. That's
Yeah.
what made it tough for me to learn. I mean, it wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
can like now, if somebody wants to do this, they could go out and contact 40 teams in their neighborhood probably that
Mm-hmm.
will, not that they all know what they're doing, but they will at least have outlets to go and learn from. It
yeah,
was a lot harder for me to learn and talk about it. Nobody talked about that. Like I said, when I was I didn't know what an empath was when I was young. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I was experiencing weird things, and I would even go like, I can sense energy and emotions on
yeah.
the living and the dead, you know? So, like, I even remember as a young kid going to, like, a family party and feeling weird, like, all of a sudden, I was depressed for no reason because I was picking up on somebody else, but I didn't know what that was. I thought it was me. I didn't realize that that could happen. I didn't really I wasn't gonna tell anybody anything like that because they wouldn't understand, you know?
Things that go bump in the night. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, I
Now I
was
admit
raised.
as much studying as I've done, it's not
yeah.
nearly enough to be like, I'm a demonology specialist because I know there's so much more you have to do. And I
Yeah.
Mhm.
just also want to make that clear. That takes a lot of education, takes a lot of training to even get
Mm-hmm.
from
Yeah.
demonology specialist to even demonologist. And
And
a lot of those courses, because I do online courses just because I'm like, all right, let me see if there is a
no, they're good. They're good to
yeah,
take.
some of them are, but it's weird because a lot of them, they're just they I don't some of them I just feel like they were put together. A lot of people,
They
it's
are.
there's a lot of different beliefs out there, but that's also why I do a lot of those courses is even if I don't believe in this person's theories, it's good for me to know for when I meet someone who does. There is one person who teaches demonology, and his belief was that Lucifer fell from heaven after Adam and Eve. A
Right.
lot of demonology, a lot of demonologists be like, that's not true.
It depends on what, there's demonologists in every religion. There's people who are not religious based demonologists, but they're demonology people. I mean, it's just a title, but it's when you go and learn the courses, it's good to learn everything. It
Mhm.
really
That's
is. I
why I
mean,
do it.
yeah, all those courses are good. I'm just saying, like, if you take a course that's couple hours long or something like that, and they give you some kind of certificate, that's fine, saying that you took the course. But if it's a certificate saying that you now are a demonologist, that's not good. You know,
Yeah.
I read every book I could find. I have books here that probably I would normally tell people, that's don't read that. But you read it and you're gonna find something in it that you never thought of. And
Mm.
that's what's good about everything. I even have, one of my closest friends is on the team. He doesn't investigate. He does a lot of our stuff, like, or some of our video work and, like, for commercials and things like that, or
Mhm.
ads. But he's a 100% skeptic. And
Mm.
it's good sometimes because he may say something, I argue with him real bad, but he may say something that I didn't think of, to
Mhm.
look at.
Yeah.
Even though you have to be skeptical going into places, but
Yeah.
he may say something that, that's why it's good. We have a huge team. We bounce stuff off of each other, and it's
Mhm.
not like everything I say is the law. Um, so reading everything that everybody writes or courses, it's all good.
That's why I
I
love
think
it.
that's the same thing that we could say about clairvoyance. How do I become a clairvoyant? Where did I learn this? You can't learn this, right? There's no courses. You can take courses, yeah, but there are a whole bunch of set of rules to what we do, and you just can't go willy nilly saying
Well,
things to
first
Right.
of
people,
all,
right?
you either have that gift or you don't.
No,
But if you do
and
have
then
that gift, it's
yeah,
best to find a mentor who has been doing that
yeah,
for a while to
That's
help
but
you
you can't
out.
learn it from a
that's the
book,
thing.
right? You
Yeah,
can't
that's the
learn it
thing.
from
Find
any
the
book.
mentors.
You
Mhm.
Also,
can't
I
learn it
wanted
from a book. You
also I
can't.
do recommend having different mentors just
Yeah,
because
yeah,
one mentor may not, teach
yeah,
you
Yep.
something as well as another one because their
yeah.
methods are
You can
different.
you can teach. You can teach. You can talk about it, but you really can't. Hey, this is what I do. I'll show you. And it's just not
Right.
there, right? And then once you learn the basics of it, there are things that you can't tell other people about certain things that
Right.
should remain private. And there are things that my shoulder's really heavy these days, right? Because I know a lot of stuff about certain things about certain people I cannot tell you. I know about
Right.
John Benny Ramsey. I know about the 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 unknown spirit, the unknown grave in our cemetery. He came to me too. I know about him too. But there are things that I can never tell anybody, and that has to stay with me to the day I die.
Right.
And it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. And like those, how do you feel when they say, "Oh, I want to be a demonologist"? Do you do you say,
Uh,
"Yeah, that'll be cool"? But for me, I said, I want to be a clairvoyant. I said, I want to have your gifts. I said, no, you don't.
mm. Well,
It's not for everybody, right? Like
Same thing
no,
you're
with
not.
right.
demonology.
100%. I will say this. Everybody out there that wants to be a demonologist, you know, think about it, because
Yeah,
it's why do you want to be a demonologist? If
yeah,
you want to do it to help people, yes. Like, I do it to help people.
Mhm.
yeah.
I do not look forward ever to a
No,
demonic case, ever.
no, no.
Even going to assess them if it could be, because you never know what you're going to encounter. The stuff that I encountered on the cases I was part of that were true demonic cases, and they are rare, but the
Mm-hmm.
ones that I was part of, I will never ever forget, and they'll haunt me forever. So
Yeah.
it's not stuff.
It's
Yeah, it's
it's
not
not like
fun.
saying
Yeah.
no. It's not saying oh willy nilly. Okay, I want to be demonologist. Okay, I want to be clever. I go, yeah, right.
There was in those Facebook groups, like I was telling you guys earlier.
Yeah, yeah,
um, I had somebody posted. I watched. It's funny some of the stuff people say. Like,
yeah,
somebody posted some picture of something. They thought it was something, and it really wasn't. But
yeah.
somebody told them, oh, that's a demon. Get out of the house. And the poster, the the author of this post wrote, "Wow, that would be cool." See, they don't that's the thing. They don't understand. This is not like a ghost.
It,
It's
yeah,
it's it's
they
something
have
you
this
do not
glorified
want.
image of they have this glorified image of something that's really cool, like wow, this is really great, gotta know,
Yeah.
gotta do, gotta. Yeah. And I said, nope, you don't. No, you don't.
I
Hmm.
don't know if it actually would, William, just because it's
No,
still a
I don't
taboo
think so
thing, and
either.
it's more of a it's interesting, as I tell people, is Japan's culture revolves around a lot of respecting their ancestors and
Mm,
their spirits. So it's one of those things where it's acknowledged there are spirits. Sometimes they
Mhm,
do come and visit you, but they try
right.
to avoid it so much just because there's more of a fear of
mhm.
they're more afraid that everything is going to be angry or making something angry.
Right.
They don't know what to do here if they make
Yeah.
anything angry. That's also
They'd
the issue.
rather you stay on that side of the road. I'll go on this side of the road. You
Do
can see me, I can see you, but don't come near me. Don't invade my space.
do
That's
I've
they
what's like.
seen a lot of shadow figures here in Japan. They're just like
Yeah.
they appear, they stand, they're staring at me, but it's one of those things where people are like, why don't you try talking to it? Because it's just like I just want let you know this is my area. You stay over
Yep.
there and don't talk to me. And I'm like, if it doesn't want
Yep.
me to
right.
talk to it, I'm not gonna
No.
try and force it.
And
Do
you
they
you
do
don't.
any kind of like conventions or lectures, or do you ever see
We
anything over
don't.
there like that?
No.
Only
No.
me and Irene are the only people publicly coming out
We're
that
gonna
we're in the
have our mini
paranormal.
convention, and we're gonna have our mini convention in October.
Got to get
Basically,
one
yeah,
started.
it's anyone who comes visit me and Irene from wherever. That's the mini convention because we're just like it's
That's
only
our
me and Irene.
convention.
What about
Trust
getting
me,
access into locations? Do they
they're
let you go in?
closed. They're closed off. If it's considered haunted,
Mm.
more likely it's closed off to the public, unless it's like a
Ah,
public
okay.
park or something.
Yeah,
But I
unless it's
tell
an
people
open space like a park or beach, you can
So
go
people
there.
don't reach out though? People don't reach out like for help?
Not really.
No.
If they do, they'll keep really quiet about it.
Right.
people would
Like it
rather
was
keep
when I was young.
Yeah,
people would
they.
rather keep quiet about it than actually seek help. But
Mhm.
Right.
that's also why we do that. We started this podcast because we're just like, in case someone did want to look for help, hopefully they come upon us. Or
Mhm.
Right.
even if someone is into the paranormal, but they feel like they can't for whatever reason, whether it's here in Japan or anywhere else,
Yeah.
whatever their reason is, like I can't come forward to the paranormal because of blank reason. We
Right.
made this podcast to try and reach out to them. Like, yeah, we understand.
Yeah.
We're your safe place. You can reach out to us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
We're not gonna tell anyone that you reached out and talked
that's the
paranormal with
thing.
us.
No. Yeah.
Right. That's the
If
thing.
I.
Everything we do, we have
Yeah.
them sign confidentiality forms, all kind of agreements so that they understand that we will never talk about their cases. I mean,
Yeah.
there are times we may take something out of it to where we feel it's something to educate somebody, but it will
Mhm.
never say who they are. It will never
Nope.
show where the location is. It will never say
Yeah.
anything identifiable ever
Yeah.
because
I
we
do
are so
residentials.
against that. Mm.
I do residentials, and I do have a clause in there where I may be. It may be verbal for me, but I said, okay, this is my privacy clause. You will not know. Nobody will ever know what I did for
Yeah,
you, your name, or anything else. And yeah,
Yep.
I've done lots of residentials, and that's what I do, and that's my
Yeah.
privacy clause, and then people understand it. And most of my cases, would you believe, are in the States.
Well, yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's letting them it makes them feel comfortable once they know
yeah,
that you're not going to release stuff. We're not going to go and stream it
no,
live on Instagram and
no.
no,
TikTok and
no,
you
no,
know.
no,
I mean, there
no.
might be a couple of people who try to explore the haunted places, but people had just also pointed out that they either blur their face, don't,
Mhm.
also maybe change their voice, but also put a mask on their face.
Yeah.
I reached
Right.
out to a couple of people, but at the same time with their fear, they're just like, yeah, I don't want to risk it coming out who I am here because I
Yeah.
mean, it's not like United States over here where if you have like a professional job or wherever you work, because a lot of
Right.
people said who do these paranormal investigations, like, well, yeah, HR said as long as I'm not wearing anything with a company logo, or
Mhm.
if I'm filming
Right.
something, I'm not mentioning where I work, they can't do anything. Over
Yeah.
here, it's the opposite, where if they just heard the rumor, you believe in the paranormal, they're gonna fire you.
Right.
Mhm.
So that's also part of it.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, like I said, where I work, my I've been there 11 years now, and our place is owned and operated by an actual psychiatrist. He's a quadruple board certified psychiatrist, and I didn't tell him for many, many years what I did
Mhm.
outside of there because I thought he would think I was totally crazy. But
Mhm.
he's actually fully embraced this to where
Mhm.
I come in and bring all my equipment and my presentation that I do like at lectures. I do it for the patients every once in a while to give them something fun to do and see. Um, he has me talk about it with the med students. He let me investigate in the facility. There's a lot of different things where I was surprised, and he's nowadays is different. He takes to it pretty well, and he's also very like into it because I'm not just somebody learning from TV and running around thinking everything is a ghost. He knows I have the PhD. He knows that we're very scientific in what we do because he's scientific in what he does. So he really embraces it, which shocked me.
This
Can I
is
ask you a
why
real simple question?
Yeah.
Since you know a lot about psychiatry, do you think that some of the patients that are locked up or were locked up are somehow empathic, and they've been
or
mistaken,
clairvoyant.
or
Right.
clever, been mistaken to be crazy, but they're not, just because they see things that everyone else can't see them, right?
Well, I,
That.
I say this. We tell people we encounter a lot of people who have mental illnesses. We encounter people who have paranormal issues. We have people who have both. You know, to say that they were misdiagnosed, I'm sure there's some out there. I'm sure
Especially
there's
back
some
in the
out
day,
there.
though.
Yeah, because there's some very closed-minded people out there. So I'm sure there's some. But for the most part, you can be both. Some of it can be kind of triggering each other. The
Mm,
illness could be a little more triggered by the spiritual awareness if you're more sensitive to
mm,
something. But
mhm,
we always tell everybody if you're getting an actual diagnosis, you need to get that under control first. Like we'll
mhm,
tell a lot of our clients if we feel there's anything that could possibly be medical or psychiatric, we tell them we need you to go get a full psychiatric evaluation and a full
mhm.
medical evaluation. Not because we think that's your problem, because we
No.
need to rule that out.
Yeah.
We need to know because if you're, let's say, schizophrenic,
Mhm,
you need to get on medication to stabilize your schizophrenia to be able
mhm.
to decipher are all those voices from schizophrenia or could some of them be spiritual?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing that we tell people when I'm
Mm,
lecturing. We preach to people that want to do this that you need to learn a lot of this stuff because if you go into a home, just if you learn from watching Ghost Adventures, you know what I mean?
yeah.
You're going to go into a house thinking every sound, everything that goes on is haunting. And if
Mhm,
somebody is, oh, I hear voices all the time and they're calling me and they're doing this and they're telling me to do bad things and stuff like this, and you don't know that person's schizophrenic, or maybe they don't
yeah.
even know, or they just
Mm,
haven't told you,
mhm,
then you going in there thinking, not knowing to look for a mental illness, and you tell them that, "Oh, you definitely have a ghost or a demon or something in here," you're saging, you're cleansing, whatever you're gonna do to help is not gonna do anything to their illness. And then
no.
what's gonna happen when you leave, that illness is now gonna be worse because now they're gonna believe that it's something coming after them.
Yeah.
So I do think that there's probably a lot of people out there that maybe are diagnosed with something that also have something else
Mhm,
that is not being looked at, but
mhm.
it can take sometimes years for people to get
Mm,
stabilized on the right medications for certain
yeah.
things to take that part out of it.
Mhm,
It's
mhm.
important. We try
Yeah.
to teach people just like one to go back 1 second to the demonology thing. One of the things I always preach to everybody is if you're going into a place, first of all, this is not a competition between teams.
No.
There should never be a competition. This is not my area, your area. Ask for help.
Yeah.
Always ask for help if you're not sure about something, because you
Yeah.
go into a case, and let's say you happen upon something that's demonic, and
Mhm.
you don't know, and people go in there, they learn from the TV, and they go in there throwing holy water around, and
Mm.
something comes out, everybody's in trouble. You are in
Yeah.
trouble, your team's in trouble, the client's in trouble. We get a lot of cases that are been stirred up by people who didn't know what they were doing,
Yeah.
We
and
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of people who that's happened to, or they call a team to their house saying, "I think it's haunted." Then I asked them later how it went, so they just said, whatever they didn't solve anything, and it just made everything worse.
Yeah.
right. Or
They're like,
the
not
opposite.
only did
They
they I was like, "Whatever they did, they angered
Yeah,
it,
Mhm.
yep.
and they also there appears to be another spirit that kinda came through too." So they
Yeah.
opened something, they added, they
Mhm.
pissed what was already here off. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't
Also, a lot of the opposite too, because you
Yeah.
got to remember, these people are, some of them are very frightened, whether it's something or not. They don't know. They're
Mhm.
frightened. So they're
Yeah.
looking at people like us as, I know people don't like the term, but as experts, as professionals, as we're the
Mhm.
people that can come in and tell them if something is
Mhm.
bad or not. And
Mhm.
a lot of these people, because they don't know, they only know from TV. Um, what's going to happen is they're going to tell them, "Oh my God, you have a portal in the house, and there's all
tell
kind
me
of things here."
Mm.
And then when
Yeah.
they leave, those people are frightened out of their minds, and
Yeah.
they contact somebody else, and then we try to tell them there's nothing, and they
Mhm.
don't want to listen to us. You know,
I don't
Eh,
like the people who hide things from the investigator. You're there to help him, but they don't
yes,
involve the real truth about it. Like I had one case that my friend asked me to help them, and I said okay, but then I found out they had played with the Ouija board, and they let out something that they shouldn't have let out,
right.
and they didn't put it back, or they burned the Ouija board, or they said something stupid to that answer, and then I said, "I'm done. I'm not
Mm,
going to help you anymore because you lied to me."
right,
It, that's why I walked away. That's the only time when I walked away. But
right,
otherwise, I don't.
right.
And then and I had another lady said, "Can you help me?" She was in Alabama. She said, "Can you help me?" I said, and she said, "We had a team before us that came in." I said, "Yeah, they messed up the whole thing." And the lady said, "Oh, I got a demon in my house." I said, "No, you don't. You got a whole bunch of ghosts in your house. That's all."
Right. And you know what?
I had to help.
I encourage everybody, go out if you wanna get into this, go
Yeah,
out, but go out and do public stuff.
yeah,
And until you can learn from somebody or go
hmm
in with people who know how to handle residentials, you
yeah,
shouldn't do it. There's a lot of
yeah,
people that just start, they're watching, like I said, watching Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters
yeah,
for
yeah.
the last so many years, and then the next thing you know, yeah, I'll get to that in a second. The next thing they just running right into somebody's house, and that's
And they
not good.
screw it up so bad. You have to go in there, fix up their mess, and then you have to go
Yes.
do it. It was a simple cleansing, okay? It was a simple crossing over the spirits in the house, getting rid of the nasty ones, kicking out the nasty ones, and just making it peaceful, okay? Inside and
Yes.
outside. That's all it had to be done. But then you found out they screwed up. The investigators before me screwed up, so I have to go in there like like it
Right.
took 3 hours. It's a 3 hour job, and it took, if it's a 2 hour job, it took 4 hours, like, or it took
Right.
6 hours
I
because they screwed up. They didn't know what the
right.
hell they were doing. I said, oh my
And I
god,
have
okay,
clients I've had many clients over the years that, were so, I don't know why they wanted a haunting, but they were so insistent that either they were possessed or there was a haunting or there was something going on that they do not wanna believe us, and they say, "Okay, we're gonna try to talk to somebody else." And I tell them the same thing, "Listen, go," it's like going to the doctor. "Go get as many opinions as you want." The
mm-hmm,
problem is, I said, if you go and contact 5 teams right now,
mm-hmm,
you're gonna get at least one of those teams that's
mm-hmm.
gonna agree with you,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah,
not gonna help you in any way.
yeah,
It's not gonna do it. So, just, you know, TV and the internet and everything
Yeah.
has confused people a lot. And yeah, I love the TV shows. I love all
Yeah.
the stuff. I watch them. I don't say anything bad about them, but
Yeah.
understand their entertainment.
Yeah.
I've been on some of them. They're entertainment. So some of those people are real investigators. Some of
Mhm.
them, they use real equipment. They go into real haunted locations.
Mhm.
But I'm not going to name which show, but I can tell you one of the shows takes 21 days to film an episode.
Mhm.
Okay, so
I've
we go into
heard that with a lot of
yes,
them, where they say, "Hey, it's one night," but they took, like, a week or 2 to film, or even what you
Yeah.
said, 21 days. They
Yeah.
don't
21
show that. They
days.
just wear the
Yeah.
same clothes every night so they can be like,
Yeah.
"Still night
Yeah,
1,"
yeah.
and it's night 8 or something.
Hey, I could give you many, many times that I've gone to places for 10, 12, 15 hours and have captured absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So, and I understand what the shows do because it's entertainment. And
Mhm.
if we put on a show of us going out to the thing and capturing nothing after 15 hours, you guys would never watch it again.
No. No.
So, and I'm not saying anything against them, but I'm saying the problem you have is clients see it on the shows and say, "Oh my God, that's what I have in my house. That's definitely I'm haunted," and you go there and
Mhm.
then they look at us like, "Well, you guys don't know anything. The people on TV are the ones that are the real experts." And you
Yeah.
know, there's not much you can do. We never walk away from people. I will do my best to just stick
Mhm.
with them and help them as long as
Yeah.
it takes. Unless they're not gonna listen. If they're not gonna listen, then they're wasting everybody's time. I've
Yeah.
had clients we've gone 5, 6 times, and we had to give up because they kept doing everything against what we were telling them to do,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
We could go in a house and clear everything out, and you do the same thing the next day, and it's gonna bring it back. And,
Yeah.
okay, just to clarify the YouTube thing. So, if you go to my YouTube, there is a channel and there is a graphic. But it's been like that for a long time. I've been stalling a little bit. I am hopefully getting it sometime this year to get started.
Mhm.
It will be very different. It's not going to be me investigating everywhere. It's going to be might be some investigating, but it'll be some historical stuff, some educational stuff. It's going to be very, very different.
Mhm.
Um, so hopefully sometime this year it will launch.
We've had someone come on our show, and they said that, someone reached out to them. They thought their house was haunted. It's an 89-year-old woman,
Ugh,
but they weren't able to get to him right away. They contacted someone that was a team that was more local to them, and he followed up afterwards. The good thing he did, because like I said, it's an 89-year-old woman, and this team came in and they told her, "You have 2 portals in your house that there's absolutely no way it can be closed. You also have 2 bad demons in your house that there's no possible way for them
Yeah.
to get rid of them," and they just left.
yeah,
Yeah.
And he followed up, and she told him that he got so angry, he
Yeah.
dropped everything, and he went there, and he's like, it wasn't
yeah,
even that. There was no demons.
No.
There's no portals.
yeah,
There was something there, but I got rid of it. So I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
I don't know understand why people you should
They
never
like to
say first."
scare the hell out of their clients, and I just
Well,
don't get that.
yep.
yeah, they're already elderly, so you could possibly scare that person so
Yeah.
much
And
that something
somebody
happens to her.
right, and what people forget is somebody that age may have a little dementia, may have a little Alzheimer's, may have different things that something like that can totally trigger them
Mm.
into like a
Thank you.
psychosis, you know?
Yeah. Or
Um,
breakdown. It's
yeah,
it cause a heart attack, or
yeah,
something really bad could happen
we
to them, because you said
we
something stupid to them like that, right?
right, we had a poor old lady. She was in her 80s, way up in North Florida, out in the middle of the woods somewhere, that
Mhm.
contacted us, and it was honestly, I hate when we can't help somebody, and it
Yeah.
was heartbreaking to hear this old lady like 1 minute, like call and be like, "Hi, how are you?" She was so excited to talk to me, and then in 3 seconds later, hysterical crying because she believed she had ghosts in her house in 3 different shifts throughout the day. She was obviously experiencing some sort of dementia or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, because she was telling me that they're running a restaurant in her house and they're using her what was it, her smoke detector to
Mm-hmm.
tap into her electric and her phone. And you didn't know how to what to do with her. And you know she was all the way out in the middle of nowhere to get to. She had no like friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
It was real tough. We actually sent her a full cleansing kit and in the mail, and figured I'm going to get her on the phone. I'm going to walk her through this. Then she broke down on us hysterical because she forgot to tell us that she only has a wall phone and she uses a walker, and she can't walk around and do things without, with have a phone in her hand, all that. So she was like, I didn't know what to say. And then the funny part, not that it's funny, but the funny part about this was I'm going, here's this old lady in the middle of the woods that's on a wall phone from like the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world? She didn't have a computer. She didn't have a smartphone. She had nothing. I'm like, how in the world did she find us down in South Florida? You know, some of the insurance companies, I forget the name of it, where if you call the insurance company, they have like a portal to where I say, okay, I need a neurologist, and they'll get you a neurologist, or I need this, and they connect you through your insurance.
Mhm.
That person that must have been dealing with her for years with all her medical stuff, the stuff she was telling them, they actually looked us up and found us and referred us from the insurance company. I could not believe that, which was good because she needed some kind of help. But it, it's tough because I didn't know what to do with her because since she had no family, she had nothing really to help her. I don't think it would have mattered what we did up there, and that's the tough part. But it was more about constantly having her call and get on the phone and talk to her and make her feel better and everything. Because what are you going to do? She was obviously having some kind of issues, and it was
Mm-hmm.
not ghosts. Ghosts do not run a restaurant in your house in 3 shifts. And
No.
you know,
Yeah.
she called me one time. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning. All upset because she said there's people sitting there waiting to eat, and she doesn't know what to do. So it's hard hearing that and not being able to do something. But these are the things that people have to look into more and understand, because if a team went over there and thought there was something there, oh my God, I can't even imagine what that would have done to her.
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing.
Yeah, it's really hard dealing with the elderly. Sometimes you have to really talk to them and just spend time with them. Just say hi, how are you, and just say, let's have a cup of tea and let's talk together. And that's probably all they wanted, right?
Right, right. Exactly. I've had people that really, after you talk to them, when we started the investigation, we always start now since COVID, we always start the investigations on Zoom. It's easier to get on and do the
Mhm.
initial interview and everything. And plus, I can have a lot of my very gifted team members that are not in this area on the call with
Mhm.
us to help.
Mhm.
But it's good. Sometimes you learn that all they needed was somebody to vent to and
Yeah.
explain, and you teach them how to shift their energy, because a lot of people don't understand about energy. We teach them how to shift the energy in their house, how to cleanse the energy in their house. It's not about going and just cleansing a house. It's teaching the person how to cleanse their house, because they got to take care of their own issue. And people don't realize that if they're massive hoarders and they're just constantly fighting with everybody in the house, that it builds negative energy and it stays there, you know? So those are one of the big things that we try to pass on to these people and help, because if you, like I said, if you go there and just tell them, but a lot of times they need that and they're fine and they'll keep in touch with us, but they do what we tell them. If they do, like we say, the homework we give them, then they're pretty good. If they don't follow it, then it's just going to stay with them. There's not too
Yeah.
much we could do at that point.
I don't like, you see, a lot of times some people say, they conjure dolls, okay? And then they splash around a whole bunch of holy water. And I said, okay. What the heck are you doing? And I said, well, I'm trying to calm my dolls down with the holy water. I said, oh,
Or
okay.
drinking it. I like that one. Pe- Let me tell you, I had a guy that we wound up helping, um, and I found him on one of these Facebook groups. And this is why I spend some time on these groups. I deal with all the haters and all the people screaming at me when I debunk their
Mm-hmm.
photos and everything. And, I try to educate them a little bit, but I get screamed at and cursed at and, whatever. But we get people from these groups. I had a guy that we knew had some other issues. And, the things people were telling him blew my mind. People were reaching out to him off of the group because he posted in there looking for help. People were telling him, what you need to do is go to the store and you need to buy all kind of ghost hunting equipment and set it up around your house. Okay. The worst thing you should ever do. Number one. Number two, somebody told him, go to the sink, fill up a glass of water, bless it, and now you have holy water. Okay, it's not quite like that. It doesn't quite work like that. And what a lot of these people don't realize is, or they tell them, go get holy water and bless your own house. Which, okay, if you have faith, you can bless your own house. That's fine. But if you think there's something dangerous in that house and you go get holy water, or you're saying with a doll or something, you take holy water and you put holy water on something. What do you think is going to happen if something bad is there? It's going to come out and be pissed. you know
Yeah.
I had a kid call me. I don't know how old he was. He wasn't over 18. I would say he's probably 17, 16. He's from my town, and he called me a couple times, saying he thinks he has something in the house, but he was very secretive, and I don't know, maybe his family didn't want anything to do with it. And because I tried to ask him where he lived, do you want us to come investigate? And he'd wind up saying no, 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 and you get all nervous and he'd hang up. Then he'd call me back when he was scared, call 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and he wasn't trying to play with me, so I helped him as much as I could. But he called me one time, and he was freaking out. He said, nobody's home. There's a demon chasing him around the house. He goes, I'm going to get the cross and I'm going to go after it. And I'm like, it's not really a good idea. You know, I said, give me your address. Do you want us to help you? Let's get on a call. Let's do something. And he hung up, and I don't know what happened, but you know, people don't realize that that's not the way to do things.
No.
you know,
And you know what? You have to believe. If you're gonna say a prayer, if you're gonna use holy water, you have to believe.
yes.
And yeah, and you have to have it in here in
Yeah.
order for it to help you. If you don't have it in here, you it and if you like I have a crucifix on my wall. I believe, okay.
Right.
And I don't use holy water, fortunately. I don't need it.
Mhm.
But you have to have it in here, and you
Right.
have to know in here if it's gonna work or not. If you don't have it in here, you see a whole bunch of words like blah 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 blah,
Right.
blah blah blah, prayer off, and you don't believe it. It's not gonna work, and it's not gonna help you. And that's what people really don't get it. That you
Yeah.
have to believe in it, or you have to believe in that cross, or else like you can say to hell's bells come over next year, and it's never gonna help you. So
Right. It's It's the
yeah,
same thing like when we teach them about cleansing.
yeah,
You can take sage, Palo Santo, incense, whatever you want, burn it and throw it all over the house, and it will do absolutely nothing. It's
yeah,
about your intent and your
yeah,
belief in it, your
yeah.
intent of what you want it to do, and your belief of,
Mm-hmm,
will this work? And
mm-hmm.
we get people sometimes, and we don't cater to just one religion. I'm
I'm
Catholic, but
okay, yeah.
yeah, we don't
I'm glad
cater
you
to
said
that.
that.
We ask the client what their beliefs are, what they're comfortable with, and we never push anything on them. And if we tell them about cleansing, we're going to explain to them, here's what it is. If you're Catholic, we have Catholic prayers for you.
Mm-hmm.
Christian, Jewish, whatever you want. We have people that have all types of prayers that can use. But if you're not, and you believe and worship whatever, whatever you believe in spiritually, anything,
Yeah.
that's what you need to use. So
Mm-hmm.
use a prayer or use something in that you believe in, or else it's
Mm-hmm.
not going to work.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
That's That is one thing I've said on the show to some people is you also kind of have to ask them what their religion is. Just
Hmm.
because if I was to cleanse a house here, for example, and it
Hmm.
Right.
was a Buddhist house, which is the main religion here in Japan, and I went there with some sage,
Right.
it's not gonna do anything because they
No.
don't believe in that. It'd be like the same
No.
thing, and I tell them, it'd be like if I came to your house to cleanse your house, walked outside, picked some dandelions, set them on
Right.
fire, and used the smoke, and I'm like, "Trust me, that gets rid of the ghost." You're like, "Yeah, okay, sure," because they
Yeah.
don't
Right.
believe in using sage. You can't.
Yeah.
I can't get sage here if I wanted to. I'd have to
I
Yeah.
order it offline from the United States and have it
Yeah.
shipped
right.
here. You
Yeah.
can't because it's
I
just not a belief.
Yeah, I've
It.
met clients that actually we go in and they have crosses all over the walls and they have things, and then I find out that they're not even Catholic or Christian or anything. They were told by another team or they contacted a priest or they contacted somebody and they told them that you need to put this all over your walls. And I'm like, do you believe in that cross? Well, not really. Well, then take it
That's why
down.
it's not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's not going
It's
to
it.
do anything.
It's
And
yeah.
that's what we've told people on this show. If they don't believe in that, don't tell them. Don't do that in their house because they're only there letting you do it because you said it's going to work, and they're thinking, "Oh, here we go again."
Yeah.
Right.
It's not,
Right.
and they're going to be the next day, and unfortunately, nothing was solved because they don't believe in what you're doing. They don't believe in the sage or
Yeah.
whatever you're doing or putting
Like
the crosses on the wall.
Right.
I used
Right.
sage when we were living in this really bad place that Amanda knows. I don't talk about it because I don't want it to come after me, and I don't want to give any power to it. But yeah, we used sage, and we saged all the windows and everything else. It didn't work. My son told me to say prayers. I said prayers. Yeah, like as if it's gonna
Right.
work, right? Yeah, it didn't
Right.
work,
Right.
and it didn't work. And the only thing that worked was saying Buddhist prayers in the middle of the room, but it got mad.
Right. But yeah, it's we encounter that a lot with clients.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry
that's also
about that.
what I tell people,
That's
and
But
right.
it's interesting
and
that that's like new news to them. When I'm like, you have to ask them what their religion is.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it just kinda give me a weird look, and I'm
Y-
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you really have to, because
And I wanted to go back one more thing with again with the residentials and stuff. One of the things that we try to encourage people is this is not when you're doing residentials, it's not just about going and investigating and trying to find ghosts.
Mm.
Take the time to get comfortable with the clients. We
Mm-hmm.
get on, and I mean, there's times we've sat with them 2, 3, 4 hours, just to make them feel comfortable enough
Mm-hmm.
to tell us everything. I wanted to say that before when you're talking about how clients don't tell you everything. You
Yeah.
have to make those people feel comfortable with you to
Yeah.
tell you very personal information. Some of the questions we ask, they're even hard to ask because,
Yeah.
people, especially if you ask something about illness or addiction or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that, if you touch on something where you can tell somebody's on drugs and you bring it up, they don't want to tell you that because they're going to think you're going to go, okay, well, there's your problem. And that's not what
Yeah.
it is. But it's very important to sit with them and learn about their religion, learn about what they're into, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't
Yeah.
want to offend them. You don't want to make them, shut down and think that you're trying to push your beliefs or your religion on them. That stuff's very important. People don't
Yeah.
realize it's very different going to the local abandoned location and having fun. It's a
Yeah.
totally different thing.
But I want to tell you something, okay? When we did that, my
Yep.
crucifix flew off the wall, landed on the shelf upside down. And I tell you, I freaked. And I said, holy shit. I went like that. That's all I said. But I said, I'm not, okay, I'm not going to give it power. I'm just going to ignore it. Okay, keep on going. And yeah, but man, I mean, that was the first one. I said, we're in trouble. But yeah, yeah,
You know, and you know how you can normally tell, like you were saying about demonologists and people who are into, say they're into demonology and all that. Um, you know how you could normally, I don't want to say everybody, but
no,
Mhm.
most people that you can normally tell is see their reaction. If they say, "Ah, that doesn't scare me at all," they have never been on a demonic case.
no,
Never. never, never, because there's no way. Look, I've been doing this 35 years, and when we go out to locations and abandoned locations and known haunted places, I get touched and pushed and all that stuff is so normal to me. It does
Yeah.
not scare me. It does
Yeah.
not bother me because they're not trying to harm you.
No.
But the stuff you see and witness inside the demonic cases will definitely you cannot say you're not scared. I'm not going to go
No.
running out of the house
No.
because that's not
No.
helping anybody. But
No.
you're definitely scared.
Yeah.
I don't want
They
to.
also know your target. They're like, "Oh, I
Yeah.
can make him run out. Let's
Yes,
Yeah.
push this."
Yeah.
fear is a bad thing. Fear
Yeah.
will
I'm not gonna
cause a
run away.
lot of
I'm not
problems.
gonna run away, but I said, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
I bet you. I bet you, if it was my next door neighbor, I bet you they'd start running the street.
Like I said, any of those people that you see going, "Oh, that's so cool. I wish I could see this." I've seen so many people say, "I wish I could get a demonic case." You
I
will
said,
see
no,
them.
you don't.
It will change once they do it.
Yeah, they'll say, I want to live in a haunted house, right? And I said, no, you don't. You know?
Let me tell you, almost every case that I worked on where I was called into to help assess that turned out to be demonic, by the end of the case, when everything was fixed, the teams that were involved in that case that called me in, they all quit, never did it again.
Yeah.
They were so frightened by what they saw
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't want to do it again because they have families, they have things, and
Mm-hmm.
it can
Mm-hmm.
come back with you.
Yeah.
I know my
Yeah.
wife is on the team,
Mm-hmm.
but she is an energy healer. She's an energy worker, so she will work with the clients. She does not investigate. You
No.
know, that's not her thing. But she she has enough to deal with me coming back from the investigation.
Yeah.
She'll tell you. She says I'm the worst client. We had,
Yeah.
I'm very protected when I go do something,
Mm-hmm.
but when I'm just out more in the public stuff or just messing around, I tend to forget. Like last year, we were going up to St. Augustine, Florida, um, and for vacation. And on the way up, I said, "Hey, have you ever been to Casadega?" And I don't know if you know Casadega. Casadega is a little city in Florida that's considered the psychic capital of the world.
Oh,
It's a
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very small town, and the amount of psychics that inhabit this town is insane. And they have a
They're
lot
trying to
of
figure out why, because they said majority of the people born in that town are
mm,
psychic mediums.
yeah,
You can walk down the street, and almost every house, there's a psychic medium. You want a reading, just walk up to any
yeah.
door, and
They have signs right outside the door, and they have the hotel is known to be haunted, and they have this big, myth lore of the devil's chair that's inside the cemetery there.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
on the way up, I said, "Oh, let's stop off here." And I told her, I said she was not too happy why we were pulling into a cemetery because she does not like that stuff.
Mm-mm.
And I said, I need you to take a picture. I'm gonna go sit in the devil's chair. You got to take my picture. And I just sat there. She was taking the picture. She was not happy with me. And there was a little doll that was because people leave things there. It's believed that if you leave a can of beer, the next day it'll be opened. Yeah, of course, somebody
Well,
sneaks in
someone
at night
drank
and probably
it.
drinks it, but it's probably somebody local that's getting free beer every night. But the doll was all hunched over in the chair, so I picked the doll up and I straightened it out. And she's like, "Why in the world would you touch that?" These are the things I don't think about sometimes when I'm out in public like
Yeah.
that. And we left there. We went to the hotel. She's watching. We went to the restaurant, had lunch, and we left. On the way to St. Augustine from Casadega, which is like another maybe 2 hours or so, I got deathly sick, and I was sick the entire trip with a massive respiratory infection. We hardly left the house the whole trip. Now, I don't know. She swears it was because I sat in that chair and touched that doll, and because they believe I am very open and I don't regulate myself, that it's not so much that I sat in the devil's chair, but all the people that sit in that chair leave their energy there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever put that doll there, whatever it was for, they leave their energy. And I don't think sometimes with that, and I touch things and stupidly, and Then I get yelled at.
You don't think, right?
I get yelled at by my wife and some team members.
It's like that theory with some of the cryptids out there that the only reason why it actually exists now, or the only reason why this certain whatever exists now, is because enough people believed in the
Hmm.
story.
Well, there's a lot behind that in locations. Now, I don't want to get this wrong because I don't want to piss anybody off, but um, what's it called, Hell House. I
Mhm.
know people who do a lot of events there and everything. I could be wrong about this, but I believe originally that place was not a haunted location. It was a place where they went and filmed these movies.
Yeah.
And now the people that go there, and I know people have been there and say that it is extremely haunted. And some people believe that it's because so many, like I tell anybody, if you sit in your house and you pull out your recorder and you keep talking every night, you're gonna pull something in. So it's
Yep.
the same thing in a location. If enough people go there and investigate, it's gonna become haunted probably. It's gonna be, somebody's gonna bring something in. So yeah, no, that's I fully believe in that.
Yeah.
Um, nobody's in public locations trying to cross things over and send them
Mhm.
away because
Mhm.
a lot of them want to make money off of it, so they don't want to shoo them out. But
Mhm.
and some of them are attached to the locations.
Yeah, and if you if you talk about if you do something with that location, you bring in things, you bring in props, you do whatever you make, like you make the thing so it looks real, like it's haunted. Of course it's gonna
Right,
bring the
right,
energy in. Of course it's gonna be haunted afterwards. It had nothing to do with it in the beginning. It just created it by
yeah.
just making
It's
the
one of the
film about it.
Right. It's one of the first things I teach my members. Like, sometimes I get members on my team who are very knowledgeable and have been in this for years, and sometimes I
Hmm.
get some who have never been on an investigation, and I'm fine with that because the way I handpick my people is not about their education in this field. It's more about their personalities,
Hmm.
their empathy, their can they handle working with clients? How are they going to be working with clients?
Hmm.
Things like that in order I can teach them how to investigate, but it's more about their personality.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's an important thing,
Hmm.
um learning about this. I teach them that, you have to learn your own way. I'm going to tell you certain things, but it doesn't mean that you have to listen to everything I'm saying. You have to
Yeah.
learn your own strategies. You have to learn your own things. So there's a lot that new people can take in and learn and be great investigators.
The one thing that I don't like is I like going in blind
Mm,
in a residential. I don't want to know any EVPs. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know any history about it because sometimes it messes me up inside in here in my head.
right,
Yeah.
And then I hate that when somebody shows me something, I said, yeah, just don't show it to me. I want to
right,
see what I can feel. I want to know if there's something there. And I usually like going through the house and I said, okay, it's there, and it's in the bathroom. And I said, I got it. And they said, you got it that fast? Yep, because I could see it, and I don't have to. I don't really have to do much, right? And they said, but you don't use equipment. No, I don't use equipment because I don't need it because I know where it is,
right.
and I can
We
see it. And,
we only use when we go into a residential. Like if anybody, I don't know if you've ever seen any of my pictures or videos when I do events. We have 3 and 4 tables filled with equipment. I'm That's the bad part. I'm also IT for 33
mm,
years. So I have
yeah.
a ridiculous amount of equipment, but
Mm-hmm.
that's more for fun on,
Mm-hmm.
public investigations. When we go in a
Mm-hmm.
house, we use audio, video, and environmental stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that reads EMF, not K2 meters. I go more for, tri-fields and real meters that, detect different types of EMF, stuff that does temperature changes, humidity changes,
Mm-hmm.
um, things like that is what I go for. I'm not against any of the other stuff. I just don't think it should be used much in a residential unless there is a total need for it. I
Mm-hmm.
tell people if you want to use equipment, that's great. Use any type of equipment, but learn what the equipment does and learn what causes false positives on this equipment, because
Yeah.
it's a lot, you know.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
lot, and you
It
know,
can only equipment can only assist you, but it can only do so much. But you have to be good enough to know it yourself before you
yeah,
use anything else.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I tell, and I don't. Again, I never get, mad at anybody or upset with
no,
anybody and what they use and what they do. But I do try to educate people. Like, there's certain things I tell people, and it's, if anybody out there is doing this, I don't mean any disrespect to it, but
no,
do not use phone apps. People do not understand. I mean, if you want to take the phone app and go to the local cemetery and play around with it and see what it does, have fun, but understand they are not real. They are
There's
no,
even
pro.
if you read the about section, it says for entertainment purposes
Right.
only.
Remember
yeah,
this, and this is coming from an IT person. Take away the paranormal side of it for a minute. They are programs. They're
yeah,
programmed to produce false responses. Some of them actually use GPS to know where you are, active listening to hear what you're asking, and
That's what I've
AI to
heard.
respond to you.
yeah,
So they know you're in the cemetery. They know. Now, even if you put your phone, and then people say, well, I didn't tell it that it can access my contacts, and I didn't, do it. Does not matter. They do
yeah,
That's
not
my
need
trend.
you to accept, to say, yes, it's okay to enter my contacts. They can get your contacts. That's just how it
yeah,
is. You know.
yeah.
So a lot of not even a lot, all those apps I do not trust. And the easiest way, if you want to test it, is take out an app, that what is that one that constantly talks, Spirit Talker or something? It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Take that app out and then put a recorder or something next to it, even a spirit box or anything that's similar to it, that's real technology next to it, and you're going to see almost nothing or maybe nothing. And then
Hmm.
the app is going to be having full on conversation. Don't say a word. You just put it
Hmm.
down and don't say anything, and it will have conversations with you, and you're not even talking. It's just, it's just, don't use that stuff. Get a simple
Yeah.
recorder. That's the easiest thing to do. Um, there's so many.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, again, they're made for entertainment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
play around with them. See, I've tried every one of them, and played along with the stuff, and it's like, it's like an SLS camera.
Yeah.
A true SLS camera is maybe considered paranormal 1% of the time. Your ghost tube app is considered paranormal negative 1% of the time. You know,
Hmm.
goes
it's
to whether places haunted or not will show you there's supposedly a spirit over at certain places.
right.
Yeah.
Remember, what I tell people too is, remember this: those things were made for YouTubers and TV
Yeah.
shows, and the
Yeah.
reason is because they give immediate responses. So
Hmm.
if you watch TikTok, you will see people all day long just
Hmm.
roaming through cemeteries with these things, having conversations with every tombstone,
Hmm.
and it's because if they went in there with a recorder, half the time they would get nothing, or more than
Hmm.
half the time they would get nothing,
Yeah.
and nobody would want to watch that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But
It,
if you're into this, guess what?
yeah.
That one time you capture something, as
Hmm.
opposed to the 500 that the other person just did, way more meaningful, because you're going to know it's more real. That's how I look at it.
Do
Because
you ever
how
find
popular.
that the team or somebody is in going in there that has a lot of stuff in their head that they shouldn't be going in there? Or
Like,
you
they
say,
Um,
didn't clear
hey,
their head or energy.
yeah, you
like,
say, hey, you gotta stop thinking about this, and you gotta clean your head,
mhm.
or you gotta, yeah, clean your energy before you go in there, because you can't go in there like this. No.
Well, yeah, we tell team members, first of all, if you're not feeling well, you can't come on an investigation.
Yeah.
If you're having issues at home with anything,
Yeah.
anything that is giving you any kind of stress or anxiety, you shouldn't be on the case, because it's going to open you up to possibly getting something. So
Yeah.
it's not a good idea. If you want to cleanse yourself and then come and try, but we usually tell people, try not to go on anything where you're not well, because it's just not good.
Yeah.
Recorders are the best. I will always go back to EVPs to, to me, it's the best type of thing, because you can't really do much to it. You can't really modify it. A lot of us use older recorders too, that I can't even take the stuff off onto the computer and try
Mhm.
to modify it. Now with AI and look, I'm a graphics guy too, on top of IT. I've been doing graphics and websites and stuff for 30
Yes,
years.
do
So
this. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's a little harder sometimes maybe with people to try to know, or
I
tell
have
them not to, but we
so many
encourage it not to do it.
I have so many bad stories of this is why I'm very neutral about the public ghost events. Just because I've done a bunch because I'm like, I want to go to this location. And usually, I mean, everyone who's investigated knows it costs good amount of money to book private places, but usually when you do a
Yeah.
public thing, it's only X amount of dollars if you to reserve your spot. So I'm like, cool, I'm gonna do that. But I've had so many bad experiences doing those public ones, and I'm just like, yes, it's I do believe if you're interested, that's the way you should go at first. Just but there's still so many people who's never been on an investigation still go out and buy the equipment. And I'm just like,
Mm.
it says right there in their description, they have equipment for you to, learn or
Right.
test or whatever. And it says
Mm.
we have enough for everyone. Don't worry about it. Yes,
Yeah.
if you're into the paranormal, you can bring your own, as they said. But I was like, don't go out and buy it, because a lot of those people are just it was a waste of money for them. They didn't like it. They wanted to end early. I've been in some of those public investigations where they wanted to end early because the majority of them wanted to end early because they're just like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
That's also kind of irritated me, who spent the same amount of money, and it wasn't. One of them was not even an hour in before everyone else was like, I give up. I'm bored. I didn't
Yeah.
realize I had to sit around and
I
wait.
Let me tell you, I still go on ghost tours if I'm somewhere and there's a ghost
I
tour. I'll
still,
go on to
yeah,
have fun. If I have equipment with me, I will bring it, but I'll go on and have fun, but, you have to know, first of all, you have to understand, again, a ghost tour, a lot of it is more you're learning, take a ghost tour more on, I'm gonna learn the history and I'm gonna learn the stuff, and, what it's about, and know where you are, like,
Mhm.
I went on one, I'm not gonna say which one. I went on one down in Key West, and we went on, and I was very drunk. It was late at night,
I love
you know,
US.
and
Yeah.
I almost got kicked off because they were getting mad at me because I was telling everybody that they were lying. They were telling the stuff and they were saying, "Use this," and I'm like, "No, that's not how you do it." They were getting mad. We almost got kicked off, but I normally won't do that. But
Yeah,
the ghost
don't
tours
ever
are
tell
fun.
that guy to ticket again.
Yeah, they they were about to kick me off. They yelled at me, but multiple times. But the ghost tours are fun, and just understand that also when you're on a ghost tour, there's what 10 to
Yeah.
20 people, and those 10 to 20 people are making a lot of noise and they're
Mhm.
doing things. So if you're using a recorder, you're doing certain things, you're taking photos, you're there's a lot of contamination in what you're doing. There's if you get a sound on a recorder being on a ghost tour, most likely it's going to be from one of the other people, unless you were in a secluded area and you can definitely know there was nobody around to, that that happens at times. But they're all fun. I encourage people to go on them. I love the ghost tours. They're fun. Some of them are more historical and teach you a little bit. That's why I probably go on more, is to learn the history of where I am and what they do, because most of them do know the history. They have really well scripted things that they learn of the actual history in the area.
Not a lot of people go on those ghost tours for the history, though. They're just doing it for their, as someone said, their Hollywood moment where it's just like, this is what it looked like in the Hollywood shows, and
Right.
this is where as soon as I turn on my equipment, I'm gonna have ghosts throwing stuff at me or this and that. And And then
But
also when they realize there's a lot of sitting around and wait and looking like you're talking to yourself,
right. But it's
you
also
realize
a
this is
business. It's
yeah.
also a business. And, if this person captures what they believe is a ghost on their picture and they post it, a lot more people are going to want to go on that ghost tour. That's understandable. Look, Ghost and Gravestones, which has tours all over the US here. Um, they have it in St. Augustine, Key West, Boston, Savannah, all over the place. They made me, it was the beginning of the year, they made me their guest judge for their photo contest you know and they have people post photos from if it had to be from one of the tours you know and I encourage that stuff. It's fun. Go and enjoy yourself. It's about it depends. People say, I always say, there's two things: there's ghost hunting and there's paranormal investigating. It is two very separate things. They
Mhm.
may do some of the same stuff, but it's two separate things. A
Yep.
ghost hunter is more of an amateur person who goes out and goes to public things. You go and enjoy that and have fun with it. You should have fun with it. But then
Mhm.
paranormal investigating, going in people's homes is different.
Yeah. Something in your house gave me a bad headache.
My house? Don't say
Yeah.
that. My wife's gonna freak out and get all mad at me. Well, I have my imitation Annabelle back there and my
Yeah,
Robert the
I was
doll.
looking at that.
You have to, if you ever come down and go to Key West, you gotta go see Robert the doll. He is something to see. He's over 100 years old. He's considered the most haunted doll in the world. A little bit over Annabelle. It's a little different of a story, but
There is a haunted doll in northern Japan.
is there?
Yes, that I wonder if would so the story on her is her name they call her Okiku because she was Okiku originally was the 2-year-old girl who owned the doll. Her
Mm,
17-year-old brother bought it for her. I don't know where he bought it. It never said. Doesn't really matter. So he gave her the doll. She treated this doll like her best friend.
mm,
Brought it everywhere. Like a normal 2-year-old girl who brings their doll everywhere and treats it like her best friend, that kind of thing.
right, right.
She unfortunately then got sick with I'm hearing 2 different things. Some people say yellow fever, some people say malaria.
Mm,
Irene, but I think believes said it she believes it's probably malaria, Irene,
Mm,
with the area and the time of when this happened. That's probably
mhm.
it, but regardless, they all say that she died when she was 2 years old. She
hmm,
was scared. She could barely breathe, and she finally kinda, like, died because she couldn't breathe, and she was holding on to the doll.
right, right.
Japanese law at the time wouldn't allow the family to let them bury the doll with her because they wanted to. They wanted her to,
Right.
for all eternity, be their best friend, but Japanese law said no.
Hmm,
In Japanese households, it's also very common that when you have a deceased loved one, they make a shrine in their house dedicated to that person
right, right.
or animal, person or animal. They had her shrine in there. And they said every year on her birthday and the date of her death, they would have paranormal things happen, like things would get moved, they'd hear things unexpectedly, they'd hear footsteps run in their house, they'd hear knocking on the walls. It was just weird. So she also has the doll also had when they first had her, they first got her, she had like shoulder length hair. And then one day the family looked at her and the doll's hair was past her shoulders.
Hmm,
So that's how they knew that the paranormal thing had to be with the doll because why is the doll's hair just growing?
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So finally, 20 years later, after their daughter's death, they're moving somewhere else in Japan, but they had a fear if we take the doll with us, is it going to lose its power? So they
Hmm,
went to the local Buddhist shrine or Buddhist
Temple.
temple, yeah, Buddhist temple, and they talked to them and they're just, talk to them about it. The monks there were already well aware. the doll because they already heard stories from other people in town, so they were excited. They're like, "Yeah, we'll definitely take care of her," and they had her on still have her on display in
Right.
that temple. And they say that a lot of people who visit the doll say that she visits them in her sleep.
Hmm.
No one's ever said what she. There's only one person who said what she did or said or wanted when they visited her in their dream. It was one of the monks who was assigned to take care of her, and she just said right before it was like they're going through like a checklist of taking care of her. She came to him in a dream, says, "I want a haircut. I want my nails clipped." 'Cause like I said,
Right.
they're still growing. For some odd reason, they were still growing. So they add that to the list. Haircut, nail trim. All right. And they said it's weird because all this time she's made out of porcelain. But for some odd reason, they said she's made also with her mouth closed. And they said they're saying now, and I've seen a couple of pictures of this, but there are some reports here in Japan that are saying its mouth is starting to slowly open more and more.
Hmm.
And they said the weird thing is they keep looking into the mouth, and they're saying that through the porcelain gums looks like children's teeth coming up.
Right. Yeah. That these things sometimes they like say Robert. Okay, Robert the doll down there. He's not some doll that was like terrorizing people. But then the myth behind the doll, he sits in a museum. The myth
Mhm.
behind the doll is if you go there, there's a sign that says you must
You have to
ask
ask
Robert
permission.
permission to take his photo and be respectful to him. That's the whole thing. That's what it's about. I'm good friends with David Sloan, who's like the doll tender. He takes care of him. He wrote the book on him. He does the tours with him. And it's all about respect.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, I talk about Robert a lot in my lectures when I'm doing stuff or at panels at conventions and stuff. Very rarely is there not at least one story from somebody in the audience of everything you can think of. Oh, we were there. Like somebody I was at MegaCon and the guy said he went down with his friend. They went to see Robert. They went on the tour. He said his friend thought it was a joke. He was making fun of him. He was taking pictures and he was causing a whole scene and not being respectful and nice. And they left the tour and the car wouldn't start. So they
Yeah.
called somebody. They came out. They checked the car. They said the starter's dead. So it was late at night. So they left the car there. They got a ride back. They came back in the morning and called AAA. They checked the car was still dead. They called AAA to come help them. He finally, while they were waiting, convinced his friend to go in because the museum's open during the day, and you can see Robert during the day. He said, "You need to go in here and apologize." And he finally convinced his friend to apologize. And when they came back out, AAA showed up. They went in the car, turned the car on, it started, and they looked at the starter and they said, "There's nothing wrong with it."
Yeah.
So, can some of this stuff be a coincidence? Of course, but like me doing this 35 years, I go down and I'm respectful and I ask permission, because I'm not going to test the fate of that. Um, we
Yeah,
had
there's
a we, we had a guy. I was doing a show at the library here in my town, and we always it was my town or it was Coconut Creek around here, and he came up to us at the end of the show and he's like, "Listen," he goes, "you need to tell everybody how serious Robert is." And I go, we do, but we're not trying to scare everybody, as long as you're respectful." And he said he went down there with his wife and she didn't care. She thought it was a joke. She laughed. She took pictures. Same thing. He said they left there. They got into a car accident and she died. Now, I didn't even know how to kind of react to that one. Again, coincidence, most likely, but these are the things that add up. Like his place used to be littered with tens of thousands of letters on the walls, handwritten letters from people that wrote to him begging for his forgiveness because
yeah, I
bad
heard
things
that.
started happening to them. Now it's all digital there, but I think he still said they get like I don't know if it's thousands or 100,000 letters every year from people you know, begging for Robert's forgiveness because they believe. And again, it goes into that like how much of that has been brought on by everybody doing it, I don't know. I think they believe there's multiple things attached to Robert, but I mean, I've met him many times and I've had no problems, but I've been respectful.
Yeah, you know, because it is a soul,
Hmm.
it's a spirit. It was once a person.
Right.
It passed, but it really didn't fully leave. It's still there. So you
Hmm.
really have to be, yeah. If somebody said, haha, you stupid idiot, of course it's going to come after you, right?
Right.
Like, how dare you respect me? You disrespect me. Of course it's going to happen, right?
What I
So,
teach my team members. So we go in a house. We're not there just to respect the clients. We're there to respect whatever's in that house.
yeah,
You
yeah,
respect the dead just like you respect the living. There's
yeah,
there's no reason to disrespect them.
yeah. I get that. That's very important.
Yeah.
Oh, you were watching me doing this with my hands. That's called Kuchikiri. It, it was just cleaning up my way in Japanese. So,
He said, "Don't worry, it's in his office, not the house." So
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I found it. My neck was just killing me. It hurt right up my back of my head, and I was going, it was killing me, but it was okay. You're
We
good.
we we try to keep it pretty good in here. I like
Yeah.
I said, she does. She keeps it good in
I don't know what it was. It just didn't like me. A lot of them don't like me either. You know that. I get told to blank off. I get told to shove that my where. Yeah, yeah. They really have a potty mouth. I tell you that much. There's anything that I haven't heard before, right?
here. Right.
Like what you heard one year, mom. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not gonna work on me. So you can forget about that. I'm not going anywhere, right?
Right.
It's amazing. Like it's amazing what you pick up. It's amazing how much after you've been to so many places, how much you've known and how much you've seen. It's like you can write a biography about it, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm working on my first book. I've been working on it for way too long. Um,
Mhm.
hopefully soon it's going to be done, and I'm trying to get it out there and see it's to a publisher and see. It's my life story from start to now of being in this field and what I did and a lot of the cases I've been on. That were well, of course, there will be nothing in there with actual real names, but it'll be the real cases and the real things that we
Mhm.
did, how I learned everything I learned, and you know, I'm trying to put a little bit out there. We'll see how it goes.
That'd be interesting read.
I when we do panels at some of the conventions, I last year at MegaCon, which is MegaCon is like the biggest Comic Con convention
Mhm.
in Florida. It's in
Mhm.
Orlando. It's one of the biggest, I think, in the country. I
Mhm.
think last year they had like almost 300,000 people there on Saturday
Mhm.
alone. It's a
Wow.
massive, massive, massive convention. When we do the panels, I mean they're 500 plus in the rooms. As much as they could pack in there. And I was working with this guy John with a group Phantasmagoria, and he did a he decided to take a few of my cases that were the demonic cases that I'm putting in the
Mhm.
book, and he made them a little more theatrical to read because they're like a theater dance group.
Mhm.
It's all horror based, and he did a reading of my cases with me there to the crowd and then had everybody ask questions about them. And it was really interesting to see. I mean, it's really interesting to see somebody read, one of my stories. But
Mhm.
the people were generally interested and they were actually asking where can we find the rest of these cases, so I'm trying to put this together and we'll see.
I like that. Um, I'm just trying to think of something. Go ahead, Amanda.
I heard with Robert the Doll, there's a theory that he himself was never evil, but the reason why it kind of came into this is so many people believe the urban legend that he's going to get you.
Yep.
That's why it drew the energy, whether it is the doll, because some people said there's something else there. It's because the energy and the belief that people bring,
Right.
it kind of created like the energy there, or brought something there that kind of
Hmm.
it does it
Well,
for the
if
doll, or because you're taunting the doll. It's not
right.
the doll, but it's something else there because
Well,
everyone's bringing the energy in because so many people are
yep.
believing that urban legend.
And there's a few theories, you know, again, I hope I get this right. There's a few theories behind Robert. Robert was given to Robert Eugene Otto, who was the owner, by I believe it was the maid in the house. And there's a few theories that I think she was from Haiti. And one theory is that she cursed the
Mm,
doll. And the other thing was that I believe they found out that she had a young child that died very young. So I think some of it is believed that, or it could be both, that the
mm,
actual child went into the doll. So there's a lot of
mm,
different things. And then I think David believes that multiple things have attached to it over the years.
mm,
So it's not like something like Annabelle that was terrorizing a family. It's not like something that was running around the streets, terrorizing people. Like it was a joke. The kid that owned it, Robert, his name was Robert. He went by Eugene most of the time, and he gave the doll his name, Robert. They would things like it would be he would have it sitting on the chair in his room by the window, and you would see it, and they would all go out to dinner, and they would come back, and now he was in the other room by the window,
mhm,
and nobody
mhm,
was home. So there was a lot of
mhm.
things like that where he moved around, he did things, but it's not like he harmed people back then or he did
No.
anything, really, really malicious like that. And so it's different. There's a lot of theories too that the guy who wrote Child's Play, the original Chucky, he was down there visiting Robert before he wrote the script. So a lot of people believe that they've never confirmed it. I think I don't know, but a lot of people believed he was using the doll as an inspiration for the story.
Mm, that's one movie that, ugh, yeah.
You know, like
Okay
Chucky.
with those movies. The first horror movie I ever seen was 13 Ghosts. The only thing that really scared me was the Jekyll,
Mm, yeah, yeah,
the one with
Jackal.
the cage. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember. I'm like the one with the cage in its head. I remember that. That's the only thing that really creeps me out.
it's funny. I grew up when I was little. I was so I don't know why I was so drawn to paranormal and horror and things like that. Nothing scared me when I was little. The
Mm,
only movie that ever scared me was The Exorcist when I was
yeah.
little. And it's funny because I always joke, I said, I don't know how that movie was the only thing that scared me, and yet look what I do. So I don't know how I transitioned through those years
Yeah.
to get to this point. I'm not quite
Yeah.
sure, but that movie definitely frightened the hell out of me when I was young. But now it takes a lot to even get me to jump.
Yeah.
People who are actually demonologists will come out and say it has to be a calling. You don't even know why.
Yeah.
You just it's a calling.
Yeah.
If it's not a
That's
call, and they even said that, like, look, if it's not a calling, or if you don't feel like it's a calling, don't don't get into it.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and again, that's how I feel about it with me, because I was reading on the paranormal. I was trying to learn as much as I can. I was trying to find people that did this, and it was very hard. And then one time I was able to, through a friend that knew somebody, they had a sick team member and they were going to a house to investigate. That was my first investigation. They asked me to come along. It was in 1989. And I went along all excited, and they didn't know anything yet. They had never been to the house yet. They just knew that the older lady that lived there was experiencing some things, and she was frightened. And so we went to the house. I went with them again. This is my one of my Georgia team members. We I went there not knowing much, so, and I never investigated, so I didn't know anything about protection and things like that. I didn't learn all that yet.
Mm,
I think 17 yet. Did I don't know if I turned 18. No, 18, I was 18. I didn't turn 19 yet. But I went in, and we weren't even there 10, 15 minutes. and the guy next to me got full on attacked, where he got scratched from his neck all the way to the bottom of his spine, 3 solid straight scratch marks, to where he threw, back then they had bigger cameras. He had a big shoulder camera, and he threw it lens first to the floor because he was screaming, and we flipped the lights on. He pulled his shirt off, and it was not through the shirt. And I always tell everybody, here's the thing: if that happened now, and I didn't know these people, I wouldn't believe it. I would believe it was set up, for some kind of fame, some kind of something, because it's not something you normally encounter. But being my first investigation, it was frightening, absolutely frightening. But when I left there, this is why I say it was a calling. When I left there, it made me want to do this more, and it made me have a million questions. Like, why did it attack him? Why didn't it attack me? I wasn't protected. I didn't know what the hell protection was back then. I had so many questions. Those guys never did anything again, but I continued, so that's why I say it. And I went into it right away. I learned a lot right away, and I got called in to help assess cases right away. And I got thrown right into it, and I did good so far. I mean, I've been thrown, not thrown, but pushed and knocked clear across the room almost 30 feet. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has happened, and I continue to do it, and I look at it as more like a calling,
Yeah,
That's what.
I was talking to someone who he is a demonologist, had the training and everything, and he stopped investigating after this one person with that person just because I still don't know why people do this. So the person he investigated with had protection stuff on him, so he made sure he was protected. But he started to provoke the spirit because he's like, I'm protected, blah blah blah. I just started pissing this thing off.
Right.
And he said it attacked someone else on the team in there because it can't get to you, so it took it out on someone
Right.
else. And the person all of a sudden out of nowhere was getting scratched badly. They were bleeding, and they had to drag that person. They had to drag that person getting attacked out of the house. They just kept getting scratched.
Right. That's the thing. They don't realize that it's not okay. You go in well protected. Your team goes in well protected, and you do
It's gonna
something
find a way.
stupid.
It's
Right. You
gonna
do
find a
something
way.
stupid. The client might get hurt. So it's definitely something that you got to be careful with. But that's why I said that. But everybody's got to learn, though. I mean, I didn't know anything about protection. I went in there, and luckily that wasn't me. But I learned quickly about protection after that. And protection, people don't understand that too. Protection doesn't always work.
Yeah.
I go when I do things now. I protect myself pretty good. My wife will probably disagree, but I protect myself pretty good. And yet, I get stuff every once in a while. It's very rare, but like I had something was about 2 years ago. I had an attachment from a local place here at the Riddle House in West Palm Beach, Florida. Um, and I don't know why. I've been to that Riddle House many times, and this time something did not like me. I mean, we even have one of the clearest EVPs I've ever captured. Well, it wasn't me that captured it, somebody else in there. It actually they we were with another team, and we were up in the attic where it's known that the guy hung himself up in that attic, and they were doing EVPs, and the one guy said he was saying straight out talking about me. He said, "Hey, this guy's never been in the attic before, and he's got a new device. So what I want you to do is talk to him." And the EVP had actually spoke over him while he was talking, which was very unusual. And it said straight out, clear as day, "He's dead." And I laughed. I came home the next day. The next morning, my wife was like, "Hey, did you get anything? Anything happened?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you got to hear this." And I play it, and she looked at me. She's like, "That's not funny." And
Nope.
I was messed up for the next about 2.5 weeks
Yeah.
until I got blessed and cleansed and got it off me. And it's rare. It is rare, and especially at a like known place, like I tell people, I try not to scare them. If you're going to a known haunted place,
Mhm,
most of the time, nothing there is going to attach to you because
mhm,
it's attached to the location.
mhm,
But attached to you, some people don't realize it doesn't mean a spirit's sitting on your back all the time. It could
mhm,
mean that they throw their negative energy onto you.
mhm.
And that's what
Yeah.
I believe happened to me. Well, I don't believe there was anything like literally sitting on me on that one,
No.
but I believe it was negative energy because, if it was something from that location, it's attached to that location. It's not going to leave there. It's not
Yeah.
wanting to follow me home. There's a million people that go in that place. But somehow I pissed it off. I don't know why. I'm very respectful. I was only there 5 minutes, so I don't know what happened.
I gotta tell you something. Here in Japan, you can go packing with every stone that you have.
Mm.
You can still get attacked.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's
It's
why you don't provoke.
no.
Yeah,
Even if you don't provoke, even if you're being respectful, it'll still come after you.
Yep.
And that's what's weird about this country is that some of them are very old. Some of them
Hmm.
can be nasty. Some of them can be they can be a suicide victim that kills themselves. They can be whatever,
Right.
and they can come up and they can charge at you, and
Sure.
you could be packing whatever stone you have from the love of God to everything. It still comes after you,
Right.
and it's not always gonna help you. And the thing is that yeah, I've lived here for a long time. I lived here for a long time. I know what it is. I know what it's like.
Right.
I've seen a lot, and people don't realize. Well, I got my stones with me. I got everything. I got my bag of stones, and I got my tiger. I got my crystals, and I got everything. I said, okay, yeah, but that ain't gonna help you.
Right. Right. Yeah. No.
It-
There's
you know,
it's one of those things where it's good to have as much as you can to protect yourself, but understand that if you're gonna do this, understand that it doesn't always help. And
no.
some of my equipment that I own have come from other people that I wound up buying stuff from because they decided I'm getting out of this.
Mhm,
I'm selling all my stuff. There was a guy, I don't know, he was down in Miami somewhere. He was selling a huge set of stuff. I went down and bought everything from him. And I said to him, I said, "Why are you getting rid of it?" He said, "I've had too many bad experiences lately, and I have young kids, and I can't do this anymore." You know,
mm,
he realized that sometimes you see things and you experience things that change your mind a little bit and say,
mhm.
maybe this isn't for me because it's not
Yeah,
for everybody.
no, it isn't.
that's
It really isn't.
that's the
It's
theory with some people having heart attacks is they said is something they saw something
Mm,
they shouldn't have, basically.
right.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
It,
as 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 far as I know from the stories, Ed Warren, he really had a heart attack that night. During what was it? It was The Devil Made Me Do It. I think it was that case when they
mm,
were doing the exorcism on the little boy. Um, it attacked him like that. So yeah, there's things and that's why I say I don't look forward to those cases. Luckily, they're
no,
rare. I
yeah,
don't look forward to them because you don't know what's going to happen.
yeah.
You know.
And the thing is
I
that you know, I've got children too. I've got three children. They're all a little bit like me. They're more like me. And yeah,
clairvoyant.
they all see things. They all see things too.
Oh, so you can't say
But
like me, Ari.
yeah, okay. They're a little bit yeah, okay. They see a lot of things like me, and uh they have a barrier where they'll go if they have to, but if they don't, they won't. But it's really not for everybody,
Right.
and and people say, well, I got children, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want, I can see spirits, but I don't know, I'm scared. And I said, and sometimes you say, yeah, well, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it, please don't. If
Right.
you're
Right.
scared,
Right.
but don't do it. But yeah, but I didn't have a choice. Either I do it and live, or I don't and I die. So I
Right.
didn't have a choice. So I did it. I did it to live. And that's where I am right now. And you know what? I'm not scared of anything anymore. Um, I can go head on with it, and it doesn't bother me. And
It is.
it's just the person. It's just you, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And but it really isn't for everybody. If you
Right.
if you if you gotta if you're not strong in here, then
Hmm.
say, yeah, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Right. Right.
Clairvoyancy runs in her family, though. Her kids
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
are, she is, her mom was, she thinks her grandma was.
yeah. So,
Mm.
my oldest son is he's really, he's seen a lot more than he wants to, and that's why he doesn't want to do it anymore. It's
Right.
just, it's just way too much. He said, "I'm done." So I said, "Okay," but yeah,
Right. Yeah. I mean,
it's
people have to. That's what we tell people. Even like when I bring new people on the team, and they're not sure if they have abilities, they're not sure if they have things. Tell them, get a mentor, get somebody that
yeah,
can teach you how to ground yourself,
yeah,
how to set boundaries, or else you'll be all over the place. Like
yeah,
with me as an empath, I'll be honest with you. I like if somebody came to me and said, "Oh, mentor me in as being an empath and how you control it." I would have no idea how to tell them that because I don't
yeah.
know
Yeah,
how I do it, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I can
You,
shut it off completely.
yeah,
Luckily, I can because
mm-hmm,
when I go to like let's say, MegaCon and I'm standing there with 500 people in the audience
mm-hmm,
that probably half of them have a million things going on. If
mm-hmm.
like I said, I could feel the emotions. If I had to sit there and feel the emotions of those 500 people in that room, I'd probably lose my mind. So luckily I can tune it out without even really knowing how I do it.
Yeah.
But
The only thing difference is you can tune it out. But for me, it's 24/7, three hundred
yeah,
sixty
that's
five days
different.
out of the year. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, I can't even go outside anymore. I don't.
Mm,
Unless I'm with my husband, I don't go outside because Tokyo is nearly 100% haunted. Okay.
mm. I
And you don't have to go far to see anything haunted.
Right.
You don't need a convention to see or say, hey, you want to go to this haunted place that's over there, and I go, nah, it's right here. It's right
I,
outside my front door. Yeah, so you don't have to go
yeah,
far to find anything, and it gets pretty hairy sometimes, right?
right.
It can be dangerous. My husband got hit by a car,
Mm,
and he didn't know
mm,
why. I didn't know why, and I found out there's this guy who was murdered, and his body was dumped, and I know where it is too. I don't know exactly where his body was dumped, and I saw it. And he haunts people, and he comes out and he says, "Okay, you're gonna get hit by a car. You're gonna." And then my husband, fortunately, he was okay, but he went to the hospital. He had to have rehabilitation on his foot. He's okay now, but
mm.
a
That's good.
guy afterwards was killed on his bicycle,
Hmm. Same
and
area.
yeah, same strop, same place, and he paced underneath the lamppost. He comes out when he wants to. When he wants to
Right.
create havoc, he comes out, and he goes back to where he has this portal, I think, where he goes in and out.
Mm,
And then he looks at me. He says, "You can't do anything to me." I said, "You want to make a bet?" He goes, "Yeah, you try crossing this road, and I'll show you what it is." I said, "Like hell, you will." I said, "Like I said that to him, right?" And then he just made the hair on your arm go like this.
right.
I had a friend who helped me calmed him down so he doesn't do this anymore, but he's still, I can feel his energy still there. And
Right.
yeah,
Right. Well,
and unfortunately the person who got hit by a car on his bicycle in the same place died.
mm,
And he was taken to the ambulance by the hospital, and it was in July last year.
right.
Yeah, and
You know.
you just can't, sometimes you can't control it, right?
Right, right. Amanda, touching back on what you were saying about you asked before about Do I think some of the people might be misdiagnosed with things? And
Yeah.
you know, I one thing I do believe is I believe a lot of people that have social anxiety have abilities that they don't know. And I
Yeah.
think, I'm not saying everybody, but I believe
No.
that a lot of that they don't realize what they have, and that's what's causing them social anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're oops, sorry. They're they're not going out and interacting with people because they're picking up on their emotions and their energy and
Yeah.
things, and they don't know what it is. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely believe that one. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people I know with social anxiety, and I think
Yeah.
some of it is definitely abilities that they don't know
Yeah. And
or
they
don't
don't
know how
even.
to contain.
Yeah. They don't even think. They don't. They don't realize it themselves that they can see things, but they think there's something wrong with them, or they think, oh yeah, my head's messed up, but it's probably not. It's probably because they can really see things, and
Or
Right,
they feel things. Yeah.
right,
you know, there is no place that you can turn to that could help that person. Hey, you know, I can understand you, I can see you, I can see what you can see, and
right.
uh,
Well,
they just don't
well,
have it.
I'll tell you one thing for anybody out there who is, you know, curious about their abilities or looking for people to help them and guide them. Uh, the Warren Foundation, that we have a group, a Facebook group that's psychic support group, and you can get it through the Warren Foundation. I think off the website. Contact me. Contact anybody that's part of the foundation, or just look it up on
Mhm.
Facebook. Um,
Yeah.
it's a psychic support group where people can get put into the group, and you're connected with thousands of people. You know that are they're not just anybody. There's a lot of people in there that are very very well educated gifted psychics and stuff that go in there and they help people. They help them.
Yeah.
It's not just about going in and doing things. They do. Kelly knows about it. Um, it's it's really really good for people that want to help
Hmm.
um, check their abilities, advance their abilities, maybe know what it is, try to help open it up, and look for people to mentor them. It really is a good place, and that's one place that I would say is safe.
Hmm.
Because we all know that there's also a lot of fake people out there too.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
that will charge lots and lots and lots of money, but
Hmm.
go into something like this, and it really will help you.
I believe that, you know, because I think there are some people out there that really don't realize it, really, or even afraid to even know that they have this ability, and it scares the hell out of them. I think
Right.
that too, right?
Yeah.
I know that when I started having my abilities and I started learning and I started getting stronger, um, yeah, I had to keep my mouth shut a lot more. I don't tell anybody. Like Amanda, she knows who I tell. There's only
Right.
two people that I know in my neighborhood that I tell. Um, but yeah, I just mm-mm. Even my doctors that I go to, even
Right.
he don't know. There's only one doctor that knows. It's the ones that I get. Sometimes I get migraine headaches, so he knows. He's the only one that knows. And yeah, we just keep quiet about it in this
Right.
country.
Right.
It's like I don't want to be tossed in the loony bin because of that. Because
Mm,
you know, it's a really hard subject to talk about in this country, and
right.
you just can't go willing without anybody.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
it
Yeah.
might not just be fear because of yourself, but in my case, it was everyone else's fear that made me hide the ability. This is why I'm starting to now trying to tune into it more. I used to be a little bit more, but unfortunately, I had to hide it
Yeah.
and kind of bury it inside due to the fact is this is just my experience, and I always say this just because I'm not saying this might not be everyone else's. This also might not be with every Christian out there. I grew
Right.
up a Baptist minister's daughter.
Yeah.
They believed that if you had a gift, you're either doing witchcraft or you were doing something that you were possessed by a demon or
Yeah.
you had a demon attachment to be able to see things and
Hmm.
hear things that nor I don't want to say normal people, but people who don't have the abilities can't.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm trying to say, and no one's believing me when I'm saying no, I did not. Especially at the time, I didn't know anything about witchcraft. I just knew like hocus pocus, and I'm like,
Mm,
no,
mm,
Right.
I'm
Right.
not doing anything. I don't. Honestly, I don't even know anything about witchcraft to do witchcraft.
Yeah.
I am also not out there trying to summon the devil. I'm not trying to do
No.
seances.
Right.
I
No.
haven't messed with a Ouija board. I haven't done any of that. So no, that's
No.
not the case. And it's just more of
No. Yeah.
yeah, I had to hide it just because they were always trying to like cleanse me. And I was
Yeah.
more afraid of what's gonna happen once they start realizing more and more. Nothing is
Right.
coming out of me. Nothing is not detached from me. And I'm like, I don't even know what to do. So I just kind of
Yeah.
hid it. I didn't. It was because more of their fear
Yeah.
that kind of made me because I'm like, I don't know what else to do.
Right. Right.
And for me, I'm also Catholic, okay? But parishioners don't like what I do. They think you shouldn't be doing this. It's
Right.
wrong.
Yeah.
So I kind of like quit going to church, but I go during the afternoon. I pray and I come out. I'm fine. But yeah, it's just like it's like a no, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's really hard because I don't do anything bad. I don't do anything evil. I don't do anything against God
Right.
or whatever you want to talk about, right? But yeah, it's you know you say but God gave us this tool. We are the chosen one. We are there to help. That's why we can hear. That's why we can see them, right? So
Right.
if I'm the chosen one, why is it so bad for the Catholic faith to even say that? No, that's wrong. You should be doing this. So it's like a love hate relationship, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
Ugh, like ugh. Okay.
Yeah. No. No.
Well, anyways, everyone, it is starting to get kind of late, so we're gonna wrap this up for now.
Yeah.
Can Can
Bill,
I
thank
just?
you so.
No. No. Thank you so much for having me. But is there if I just say a couple things coming up?
Sure.
Oh,
Um.
definitely, yeah.
I want to make sure I have the right dates because there's too many things I'm going to lose. Um, so in September 20th, 21st, and 22nd, I will be at a celebrity guest at UltraCon in West Palm Beach, Florida. It's a
Ooh,
great
sounds
event.
cool.
A lot of guests. It's more of a pop culture Comic Con, but it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be a lot of fun. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Also at the same time that same weekend, my Georgia team will be at
Mm-hmm.
Hauntlanta up in Atlanta. They have a
Ooh.
booth up there representing us up in Hauntlanta. So
Mm-hmm.
there's that, and then also I have hold on, October. I have the 18th and no, the 19th of October in Fort Myers. I'm at Horror Fest, Florida Horror Fest.
Ooh, that
That
sounds
should be
cool.
pretty interesting. We got the original writer and producer of I think it's Friday the 13th Part 6 and a couple of the people from there that are going to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then I have in what is this? The 11th, no 12th of October. I'll be up in
Mm-hmm.
Port Orange at the Port Orange Library doing
Mm-hmm.
about a 3 hour presentation. That one's going to be a lot of fun. That's
Mm-hmm.
free for everybody up there. So if you're around Port Orange or the Daytona area, come up and
Mm-hmm.
definitely check us out.
You know what? You should come up and see us.
I would love to.
Of
And my
course.
wife would be right with me on the plane.
Oh
She's
yeah.
dying to go to Japan.
Well,
Before before we
come
let
on
you
down.
go, do you have any
Yeah.
advice to anyone trying to enter the paranormal?
Enter it. Just learn. I mean, go like I said, go out and go to places, go to cemeteries, go to ghost tours, find somebody in your area that does investigations and just go and learn from them. Like I was
Yeah.
saying before, if you're going to use equipment, learn what the equipment does, learn what triggers the equipment in false positives, and also learn about how to understand evidence. Like when you see a photo, understand what a lens flare is, understand what the lighting does, understand what everything does. That will just help you know when you have something more real, you know, and find somebody who knows more than you to teach you,
Yeah.
you know.
Awesome.
Yeah, get on a local team and just go. And I tell everybody, vet the team a little bit. Do
I was
some
about to say
research on
that.
the
Bet that
team.
team first, guys.
Yes. Get on look at the team up, see how long they've been doing it. Make sure somebody on that team has been doing this. I usually say make sure somebody's been doing it since before the TV show started. But, you know, it's hard to find nowadays. But just find people who have been doing this for a while and know what they're doing, and, you know, bounce. I bounced from team to team for a long time before I created my own team. Don't go out and
There's
just
nothing wrong
create
with
your
that,
own.
guys. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with jumping team to team if it's just not working out.
Absolutely, absolutely. I encourage, like, there's people on my team that went and joined another team at the same time. I have no problem with that. What that just gives them more experience, you know, as long as they're not sharing any kind of, you know, confidential information. There's no problem being on multiple teams, you know.
I'm glad you said that because not a lot of people believe that.
Yeah. I know some people that are really, really, I'm going to say it, stupid about that. That they feel you could only be on one team, and, you know, that's
No.
ridiculous. You
No.
know, as long as you're not saying, as long as if my team member wants to go on another team, as long as they're not telling that team confidential information about our clients, then, you know what I mean? Then I'm fine with it. So,
Well, thank
but
you
yeah,
so
that's
much for joining us. We're gonna have to have you back on again sometime.
Yeah.
anytime.
Yeah. Definitely. Hopefully, we'll see you in the future. And everyone else, thank you so much for joining us. Bye. We'll see you next
Bye.
time.
Thank you, everybody.